Today is the 26th day of Av, the 20th of August. We're on page 102 of Hamanas Elokus, which means belief in God. What exactly do we believe in? And from the book Derech Mitzvosecha, the Tzemach Tzedek. So we have this is a very big topic of how they saw evolution, how they saw one thing coming out of the other. It's not the way that we see it. It's not energy transfers the way that we see it. They're looking at the form. So we'll leave that for now because it's a huge topic and you have to realign your whole... We don't look at the form when we say something becomes something else. When I say the car runs on gasoline, right? So I don't mean at all that it's the viscosity or the fluidity or the density of the gasoline. I don't care about that.
No.
The only thing I care about is how much energy is in it. So we say that came from that. So that power to drive the engine came from the gasoline, but we don't mean that somehow the gasoline became the power.
I see what you're saying.
We say we burn the gasoline, we take energy out of it.
Yeah.
The whole modern conception is to break it down into very basic pieces.
Okay, but I hate using the word ancient, but the ancient conception
But the ancient conception was form. And one thing comes out of the other because of its form, because of their similarity. In other words, there was an understanding that when I take wood and I make a house, all I did was I changed the form of the wood. But they could not have a conception of grinding the wood down to something and using it as some kind of, filler or something like that and building it.
Really?
That's not the way they thought about it because you lost the form, so you wouldn't even say that this... Yeah. So their whole conception. Right. It's form-based evolution.
Yeah. Okay.
And form signifies what the essence of this object is. Right, you understand the characteristics
of it, yes.
And we have a very different conception. Our
We have a
conception
much more
of
fluid.
right. We go down. We what we call it is reduce. It's called reductionism. They didn't do reductionism. They had no concept of reductionism. Again, reductionism is to go back down to the basic building blocks.
Yeah, right.
So when we look at a human being, like science today is looking at the DNA, and somebody who's looking at the person would say, what's the connection? Because the person is a whole person.
Didn't the Arizal do reduction for the first time with the idea of spheres? Wasn't that a reduction?
Oh, okay, so that's very interesting. So if you say that he has a concept of, if you understand the Sfirot as reduction,
Yes.
I would say that's probably anachronistic. That's not the way that the Arizal saw it. He saw it as exactly these characteristics. When we say chesed, it's not a reduction in the sense of can there be some, is there some basic constituent in my right arm that's chesed? There's nothing like that. It's the whole arm that does chesed. It gives tzedakah as a whole. So I wouldn't look at my fingers as different from my elbow and... Okay, so there's pieces to it, but in the end, we don't see. He doesn't see it that way, and that's one of the things that's always missed in anything I've ever read about ancient science, and certainly about Kabbalah. That they don't understand that we have such a different conception that you have to talk in very, very basic terms. Take science aside now, and you have to think about it just in the way that a simple child would look at the world. Because that's the way they're looking at the world. They're not even atomists. Atomists had some kind of reductionist. There were two guys in ancient Greece that we say are, I don't remember the names on. One's with an L, and the other one I don't remember. So they were atomists. They had this concept of reduction. But even in their concept of reduction, I don't understand that they had a different understanding of how one thing comes from another. I think they still looked at form. And this art of form is almost lost now. It's almost gone. I mean, when you go to a doctor today, how many doctors actually look at the body itself. How many of them tell you to undress? I want to look at what your body looks like. Nobody does that anymore. The only thing they care about is go do a blood test. And from those markers, or whatever you have in your blood, which is complete reductionism, I'm going to tell you how your whole body is working, which is ludicrous. It's just such a wrong way of looking. It's not that the blood doesn't say something, it does. But it's not the whole body. You can't substitute one for the other.
Holistic view.
Right? And it was out of necessity, not because they didn't have any other options.
They only saw they had only the form to work with.
So it's very important to understand that everything that they're talking about is the way a 5-year-old will look at the world. Again, it's not stupid. It could be very, very deep, but it's only the tools of a 5-year-old. That's all you have. And you can say very deep things about it. But you have to look at what you're facing. And you're not taking things apart to figure out what's going on. By the way, this is the way that all of academia works today. The humanities took on the same principle. They do reductionism today. In reductionism, you lose the whole picture. You have no clue of what you're talking about. You say, "Oh, this is this type of process because I see these same elements." One has nothing to do with the other. Literature got screwed up in the same way. Everything reductionism is a good tool, but it's not the whole face of reality. It's not the way that you need to approach reality. So Kabbalah really grounds you back. And Chassidus really grounds you back in what the world is really like.
That wasn't ancient, but it still had that ancient...
right, because that didn't change until the 17th, 18th century.
So we're saying the scientific revolution.
And really the reductionism didn't get into humanities until the 20th century.
No, but it's saying it's science, the scientific revolution brought that reduction. Okay.
Right.
But before that...
There was no reductionism. When they say they want to transform lead into gold, they don't mean they're going to manipulate it atomically.
Yeah, right.
They have no concept of that. They can't even think in those terms.
So the Alter Rebbe
what they're saying is, it's like a character trait. Really, all of alchemy was an offshoot of character. Yeah. Meaning you have a character of lead,
yes.
and I'm going to turn you into a character of gold. Right. And that's a huge transformation.
Yes, of course.
Some people can do it, some people can't. From that to talk about, can I take actual lead and turn it into actual gold? Okay, that was a stretch. Some people, by the way, today understand that they never meant to actually transform physical lead into physical gold. It was just a metaphor for what people tried to do with themselves.
So the early Hasidic masters, the Alter
they still use.
We're going from that point, that older point of view.
Right. Now, when does even Torah begin? When do people in Torah begin to speak about elements even?
Yeah.
So Mendeleev, who's the one who started the periodic table of the elements, so he's in the 1830s, 40s, 50s, something like that. It penetrated very quickly, but it was never looked at as, okay, this is the way we're going to understand Torah now, because it just isn't. It's just not. Torah doesn't. A lot of people say there's a misconception in trying to mix science with Torah. And they're right, but they usually, I think, point in the wrong direction. It's not that Torah doesn't talk about the physical world; it does, but it's talking about it from a non-reductionist point of view. They try to say the Torah is talking about the soul, and science is talking about the physical world. No, they both talk about both, but there's no language in science really for the soul. And there's very little language of reductionism in Torah. So that's where the real problem is.
That's what the Chassidus is.
Okay, so we didn't get far, but
no, we got very far.